I think the Kraken are going to be pretty sick under Billsma too. That their new coach. I mean, it.
Oh man,
It's.
I'm
I mean,
pretty
it's.
nervous. He kind of got ran out of Buffalo and like was not good.
Yeah.
Like and Pittsburgh. He won a cup in Pittsburgh, but that was obviously like 15 years ago, and he had Sidney Crosby.
Fair. Yeah, that makes a difference.
I have a Crosby jersey that's really nice. So he was my favorite hockey player.
Sick, dude. Yeah, hockey's I think I probably told you hockey's like easily my favorite sport.
Really?
I played up through. I played in college at Iowa State, which is like, it's hockey.
Oh, that's insane! Like D1.
Well, no. So hockey has this thing where like, it's not NCAA. It's called the ACHA.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's club hockey, but it's like very serious club hockey. And like, I wasn't good enough to get past there, but like it does.
I assume like UW is in that as well.
They are. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's honestly like JUCO almost for like football players, where you kind of use that to like springboard yourself to NCAA.
Oh,
so,
okay. That's sick.
Yeah, it was fucking awesome, dude. But like, I got to a point where like I just saw all my boys like having such a great time, like going to sick parties and stuff. And I got to a point where I was like, I'm not going pro, dude. Like, this is so much fun, but like, I'm ready to like focus on the next chapter of my life. So I didn't play for all 4 years, but
yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm excited. That when Kraken went, I think we went to the conference semis in our second year.
Yes, we beat Colorado in 7, and then we lost to Dallas in 6.
That's right.
We had a 2-1 lead against Dallas as well at home.
Yep.
But, exactly. Chill. I'm not looking forward to this season. Well, I'm looking forward to it, but like I don't think we got much better, especially offensively. Like we fortified the defense. We got Montour, obviously from Florida, just won the cup, and then Stevenson, right? Or is that his name, from Vegas?
Yeah.
Dude,
so I didn't realize we picked up Montour. When you said that earlier, I was like, wait, I didn't realize that.
I was like, all right, so we're kicking off the pod like Baden Montour.
Dude, I'm gonna leave this in. Actually, we're gonna give people a little bit of bonus content on the Kraken before we get into Spurs.
But we didn't boost offensively, and like we regressed heavily last year. Jared McCann was not himself, and same with Matty. We just extended Matty. So if you guys actually want real-time updates, we extended Matty Beniers for $1 million per year, 9 years, like yesterday. So,
dude, sick. You got all.
He better be good though, because our offense.
Yeah. Dude, I know, man. He needs to settle in, and I think he had kind of that classic like sophomore season, which even though like his freshman year was like 10% of the season, if we want to call it that, but like still, I think he'll settle down quite a bit. I mean, we kept Tanev, which I think was important. So
Turbo, we kept McCann. We still got Ebbs. And I don't know where we're going to fill in. We still got Ellie Tolvanen, but I don't know what we're going to fill in goals, because when we went to the semifinals, we had Daniel Sprong, and he was like one of our top scorers that year. And then we kind of let him go. I think he went to New York or something, or maybe that was Wenberg, but we lost both those two. And then we didn't really fill in the goals there that much.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see what Cartier does. I think he's a good little player, man.
Oh yeah, dude, that was hype when he was cooking, like right when he got called up. That was awesome.
I know, man. I think he's like he just reminds me of, trying to think of a good like comparable profile, but he's just one of those hockey players that plays the game like super well. Like he's not gonna lead the team. Yeah, exactly. Like he's not gonna lead the team in goal contributions by any means, but like I don't know. I think he's more capable of producing assists than goals, but either way, he's like, like you said, gritty's a good word.
Yeah, so. He just like he does the dirty work and then occasionally pops up with like some goal contributions. Yeah.
Damn. All right. Well, Spurs fans, there's a little bit of bonus content for you. We might even leave it in
Seattle content.
Thank you. Seattle fans, thank you. Seattle Spurs fans specifically. but yeah, we're gonna keep some of that in here. So let's just jump into it, man. Obviously, a super exciting win this morning. There's still early days, right? But um, better feeling than we had it last Monday night for sure.
Absolutely.
I said it in the group chat, but after Monday, I was ready to spin the season and focus on the Cups, right? And of course, very reactionary, and we didn't truly feel that way. But the point is, today things feel like we maybe go and win the league, right? Could we? So it's funny how fast emotions change throughout a 38 week Premier League season. But yeah, man, awesome result today. As you all know, with me is Max and myself today. Keegan and Chang weren't able to make it. Max at Going Limbs on socials, but yeah, man. What do you make of a result this morning from 30,000 feet before we dive into everything?
Yeah, obviously buzzing with the result. Its importance can't be understated. I just want to highlight that we have Newcastle away next, which we will preview on this episode. But just a little nugget to understand the gravity of that. 10-3 is the aggregate scoreline the last two times we went to St. James Park. Actually, that might be 10-2 now that I think about it.
I think it is 10-2.
10-2. There we go. The aggregate scoreline for the last two times we have visited Newcastle. We have them at the weekend, and then after that is the North London Derby. So if we did not get 3 points, but we got an emphatic win, which is even better. But if we didn't get this today, we would have been looking at two scenarios where we're probably not picking up 3 points, if we're being honest here. And then we're looking at 4 straight non-wins to start the year. So this was really, really big. Can't be understated how important this win was for the team, for Ange. I think for the fan base, it was just a really big win today, really important.
Yeah, well said. Completely agree. And we're going to dive into it. We'll get into this one in more detail. Like you said, we'll also talk about Newcastle today. And then there's a couple other things we'll talk about. But before we get any further, let's back up a second and introduce the podcast again. We gave the Seattle Spurs fans a little bonus content around the Seattle Kraken and jump right into Spurs. But we are Emerald on Lilywhite. This is episode 11. Crazy to be in these double digits now. Like, subscribe, please. It means a lot to us. It means a lot to Seattle, and most importantly, Seattle Spurs and our affiliates. Want to thank, as always, Cascades in Puyallup and the Wits End in the Finney Ridge area. Both are our homes at Seattle Spurs. Obviously, the north side and the south side. Make yourself known. Come on through. Both bars do a lot of work to give us a wonderful platform to watch Spurs matches at. So we'd love for folks to come by and buy a beer, a soda, breakfast, whatever it is, and pay a little bit.
Great burgers at the Wits.
Yeah, no doubt. They've done a lot of really good stuff with the food over the years, and always had something special for Spurs fans. So yeah, pop by one of those locations again. The Wits End up in Finney Ridge and Cascades down in Puyallup. Show a little love to Spurs fans, and most importantly, continue to get to know Seattle Spurs and everything that we do for the Spurs community. But yeah, Max, like you said, cannot overstate the result this morning. It was really important for the momentum, we could say, the positive momentum that we want to take into these forthcoming matches. You and I talked about it off air. The forthcoming matches are not necessarily easy, right? So it was really important that we got on the right track today, and we certainly did that. Start with the lineup. Anything surprise you when you saw the 11? And I'm sure there's one name because it gave everyone a nice surprise. But what did you make of that 11?
Yeah, so I wake up, right, 6:50 a.m. where I am. Groggy, open, obviously, first thing I do is go straight to the lineup. And I see Matters and Kulu in the midfield. I'm just absolutely buzzing. I look further down and I see Odebear in the front three. I'm just thrilled. I'm thrilled. Obviously, some really disappointing news with Solanke that came out yesterday that he wasn't playing. So we were kind of like, okay, what can we cook up without Solanke? This is what I would have cooked up. Honestly, I would love to see Richie starting. I'm I'm pretty biased towards him. I think he's a great player, but hey, I could not complain at all, especially with that Matters Kulu set up in the midfield, because we've been banging that drum for the preseason, before Leicester, after Leicester. I was especially like, Kulu has to play against those low blocks, and you saw how effective that was today. And I think that's the perfect lineup for facing the mid to low blocks for those mid-table and relegation fighting teams.
Yeah, I love it, man. Obviously the first thing I saw was Madison and Kulusevski. As you said, you and I have both really been calling for that, just kind of that dual 8-10. And we talked about it a lot last week after our disappointment with Pop Star getting the nod at Leicester. That against the low block, Madison and Kulusevski are a wonderful dual threat to pick locks and find space in behind a really low block and I shouldn't say really low block, but a low block and a team that was going to be super well drilled and organized, and we picked them apart. So I think Madison and Kulusevski were a big piece of that. And then I think it has to be said that our easily our most talented number 6 started today, right? In Basuma. I haven't always been the kindness with my praise of Basuma, and you've called me the biggest Basuma hater, right? But he is fundamentally our best number 6 for sure. He's very technical.
Disgusting today.
He's a very talented number 6, and so I think seeing that the door for him to get back into Ange's good graces was obviously open this morning, especially considering Bentancur being out. I think made a big impact. But if we want to talk about our best midfield, Basuma is involved in that. So I think that was a big piece of what we saw today too. You want to talk about Basuma for a second?
Yeah. Honestly, I was pretty surprised as well to see Basuma there. I thought he would feature on the bench. Obviously, the Bentancur injury muddied the water there. I think if he was healthy, he would have started, because Ange did praise Bentancur's performance recently in a press conference. He was like, "Oh, it's a shame that it got cut short. He was playing well on Monday." So, and I thought last episode, I was like, okay, Basuma is just smoking his brain away, and Bentancur is like in the hospital. So Archie Gray, like, it's time. Let's go. Let's ride. And saw it differently, and he got it right. And I'm just really pleased, and I'm thrilled for Eves to get his first goal for Tottenham. Apologize to the fans, hug Ange after the goal. Like, you honestly can't ask for much more from a guy coming off that suspension. And it seems like he really does care about Spurs.
Yep.
And that means a lot to me. And with the ability to match that, like, I just hope he bosses it this season. Honestly, he would be a huge, huge part of our team if we were to have a successful season.
Yeah, for sure. I think when he was being shopped around by Brighton, and I wouldn't even say that, people were shopping him, right? Brighton was not shopping him around, but at that time, I think he could have gone to any team, in the top 5 or 6 for sure. Maybe at a City he sees less minutes, but he's good enough to be there, I think. And so,
absolutely,
having him as our in and out week in, week out number 6 is best for the team. So he played well today. We'll jump up top, man. Let's start with Brennan Johnson, another polarizing figure. It's a slight bit of mine to go on and on about how much I love Johnson, but I do think he's a good player. I think today he was not good. I start to ask myself the question.
He was really bad.
Yeah, he was bad. And you and I
don't know if not good is cutting it for me. Like, he was terrible.
I agree. He was poor, man. Very poor. Just no end product. You and I talked about it in the group chat quite a bit today. I think Johnson's best off the bench. I always have thought Johnson's most effective off the bench, right? Last year, I thought he played really well for many moments of the season, but again, the more I look back, it was off the bench, right? So I start to ask myself, how do we get Johnson in a position where he can come on as an impact sub against tired legs? He's very effective against tired legs. There was a couple times today where he totally should have had beat the fullback to the ball and won the loose ball, right, and probably gotten across him, but his legs were just gone. And I'm talking like
It's
75,
brutal,
80
man.
minutes in, right? So yeah, really tough game. So I asked myself, what can we do to get to a situation where Johnson can come off the bench? And I think we're close, because I think Odebear on the right and Sonny on the left is the move. But when you're down one Dominic Solanke and seemingly Richarlison's not quite ready to go, then Son moves to central. Son moves central, and I think because of that, Johnson probably started today. But I think there's another world where Solanke is fit and Odebear would be on the right. So I think we're probably close.
Yeah, I agree. We're definitely close to that. I also think there's a guy with like the initials MM, not me, but another player for Spurs that maybe could start for the team. But, I'm just going to keep dropping that consistently because I do think that he's good enough to play. But yeah, the Brennan thing is just it's just really strange. And because he did have a good second half of last season. He was one of our brighter players in obviously a darker period for Spurs.
Yeah.
But it's like, did we pay $55 million for a dude that can only come off the bench? It's like, what are we doing? Like, I don't know. And I don't think he's that. I agree with you. He's brilliant off the bench. That's a great sub to have. But I also believe that he has the ability to be a really key player and a key starter on the front three, but he has to show it first. And that's the frustrating part, is that I know he has it in him, but right now everything feels forced. It just is rough. And I'm going to highlight what I thought was maybe his best moment. Combination with Kulusevski kind of led to the first goal. But even in that moment, the way we got to the goal is he had a great 1-2 with Kulu, and then the touch is just too big. It gets poked back out, and then we cycle it over to Basuma. But it's always like a bit too heavy, or like not. It's just he's close, or just didn't quite get past his man. But we just need to we need a change for him right now. He's not starting out great.
Yeah, I agree. And for me, it's confidence. And I think anybody who's played, especially soccer, I think confidence plays more into soccer than other sports that I played.
His lack of volume, I think. For soccer.
Exactly, 100%, man. There's just something about you lose your touch, and then when you lose your touch, you start overthinking, and then the overthinking leads to poor decision making. And I think it's just clear with Johnson right now that that's exactly what's going on. But like you said, he's got it in his locker, and confidence comes and goes. I do think he's got to become a little bit more of a direct threat. He's not as technical as an Odebear, and that's quite clear, right? Or even as a Sonny. I don't think Son's the most like super technical, as crazy as that sounds in the box, right? He
for sure.
He is. Yeah, but he's a goal scorer for sure. But Odebear, Kulusevski, both quite technical. Johnson's not quite there yet, so he's got a lot of work to do there. Because you are going to have to do more than just beat a fullback to the end line and put a cross in. As much as I joke about that being the one thing our wingers have to do, they have to do more than that. So yeah, work for Johnson to do. Let's pop over to the other side. The other wingman, Heung-min Son. Fatmom has him as a 9.0 today. Just a wonderful performance. I don't know if you saw that little social media post where they asked him if he got nervous. Yeah. And he said,
"He's Son.
I'm Sonny.
Like, he doesn't get nervous.
Sonny, right?
What is that? What does that mean?"
Exactly. And it showed today, because even Pickford's error, I mean, that's good pressing. That's good fundamental pressing from Son, and he put Pickford in a position where he had to make a perfect touch to not turn the ball over, and he didn't make a perfect touch, and Son found a goal. And then obviously that finish from the Van de Ven pass that's a tight finish, a tough finish. Really only one spot you can put that ball. Either where Sonny put it or top right, like super upper 90, where you just beat the keeper over his right hand. But just a wonderful finish. So yeah, man, talk about Son quick.
Yeah. This is what I'm talking about, man. Like there was some doubters, Alex Chang, after the game one. I'm like, bro, what are you? He's like, we need to talk about Son getting dropped. I'm like, no, we don't, dude. Because it's the next game and he pops up with a brilliant performance. Not to take anything away from that, but his first goal is a carbon copy of Solanke's goal against or against Newcastle last year, I think, where he took the ball off the keep. It's literally a carbon copy, and this is one of the goals that they're citing. Like, look at Solanke's press, perfect for Ange system. So keep that in mind for the rest of the season. And then the second goal, the finish is just disgusting. Takes it on his left, his weak foot. He doesn't have one. Just through the 5-hole, to use a hockey term, of Pickford, and just into the back of the net, and it's just a cold finish. And Van de Ven, shout out for the assist. I know we're gonna get to player ratings, but both of those two absolutely brilliant today. So shout out Son. That's my captain for sure, undroppable.
Yep. Yeah, he was my man of the match, easy. Let's go back to the midfield. We talked about Basuma quite a bit, right? So I don't think we need to touch on him too much. But Madison and Kulusevski both were really, really good today, I thought. Madison's confidence is back. It's clear. I think he lost it, kind of like we're talking about Brennan Johnson in similar ways. Madison had no confidence at the end of last season. It probably cost him a spot at the Euros, right? We all know that, but he seems to be playing good, strong football again. And then Kulusevski got a chance to do what he did all preseason, and we talked about, why we both thought he should be there, and he was today. But those two were just, yeah, they were both really good. And when you've got that dual threat, it's hard to contain, and I think that's a big part of why we won 4-0.
Yeah, completely agree. Matters probably should have scored a couple. Shout out Christian Romero for absolute dimes. But again, great with the link up play off the left. That side is really strong. And then mirror him, Kulusevski. I was floored by his first half performance. I was like, this is elite. Like I didn't see him too slow on the ball, hesitant when making decisions, all the issues that we cited like over the summer. Because I know we were both skeptical about the guy. We've talked about selling him. We've talked about how he doesn't fit the system. And he's frankly adapted and now is looking like, for me, the top choice for as good as Matters has been. Like, I think preseason to now, like Kulu is the one that's really unlocking. And you see the immediate impact for the assist on Basuma's goal. Absolutely disgusting performance from Kulu.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, I'm thrilled for him. He said at one point he sees himself as more of a central playmaker, and he's showing us why he feels that way. So yeah, I'm stoked for him. And then we'll jump back to the defense, and I'm leaving a certain debutant for last. I know we grazed over Oda Bear, but I want to give us a good chance to really talk in depth about him. But looking at the back line, you mentioned Romero already. FODMOB also gave him a very strong rating. I'm not going to spill the beans because we still got to talk our own ratings. But Romero, fantastic match today. Van de Ven, a little bit of an injury scare. I didn't like to see that.
God,
right?
a little bit. I was like, dude, just end the season.
Seriously, that was like spaghetti leg, dude. I can't believe that he's okay.
That's insane, especially for his size.
Yeah, I can't believe he's okay. I expected him to come off at halftime, and he played every minute, man. But Romero Van de Ven, that pairing is something else. And if they both are at Spurs for a long time, we're going to look really good at the back.
I mean, those two today, like, I don't know if I've seen a better center back pairing in years. Or ever. Maybe not even ever for Spurs. Like, those two individual performances in this game from two center backs with goal contributions as well, like, unbelievable, dude. Unbelievable how good those two are. And they stand out even in the disappointing games like Monday. That's how good those two are.
They don't put a foot wrong, either of them. it's just the Toby Jan regen is all it
Yeah,
is.
it's better. It's definitely better.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And I say that for two reasons specifically. One, Van de Ven is the fastest, strongest center back I've seen in a long time
Fastest
at
player in the
Spurs.
Prem.
100%. And I think he just offers a little bit more than Jan did because of his pace, right? And Jan was quick, but Van de Ven is just tracks everything down. It's incredible. And then Romero has won multiple international major trophies, including a World Cup, and I think that just builds a certain layer and new level to someone's confidence in their game. And you come off a World Cup and back-to-back Copa Americas, and nothing is going to motivate somebody to keep pushing themselves and take it a step further and a step further than winning those types of tournaments, right? You crave it. And yeah, he's absolute world class. I talked earlier about how Sonny is maybe the one true world class player we have, and that's a terrible take because Christian Romero is a world class defender without question.
His ball playing ability, I'm at a loss for there's no one like him in the world at his position. The way he was passing today, it's just insane.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Yeah. We're so lucky to have both of those guys at the club. Yeah, and fullbacks, Poro and Dogi, thought they both had good matches. I mean, it's still sometimes I have a hard time almost like coming to a consensus on how I feel about Poro and Udogi because their positioning is so different than anything I've ever experienced, right? It's like almost a new position at times, but I thought they both played really well. I thought they both fit the system well. I think they're both players that we can just always count on to have a good, solid match, regardless of how much they stand out.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, and before we go to Odegaard, we probably talk about Vicario as well. I think kind of another quiet conversation.
Yeah. He had one good save.
Exactly. He had a good save, and yeah, just kind of stood around as we took Newcastle to the sword.
Still needs to be better on set pieces, I think.
No doubt. And we saw him working on that a little bit from social media clips before the match, right? So it seems to be something the club's addressing, and it's well reported that he spent much of this offseason building muscle and getting stronger and quicker and whatnot. So, yeah, I think Vicario did a good job, and I expect him to always do, a fairly good job for sure. And, yeah, let's round it out with Odegaard there and the debutant. Super excited to see him on the starting 11, as you mentioned earlier that you were, right? FOTMob didn't give him a super favorable rating, but I'm not really interested in talking about any of that because I think this is all long term and what we can expect in the near future from him and what he brings to the team technically and all of that. But I know you're a huge fan, so I'll just let you take it for a second, man. Talk about the debut from our young French teenager.
Yeah, luckily we don't watch the game on FOTMob. We watch it on our TV with our eyes, and he was filthy, especially first half. It's just exactly what we've been missing. Someone who's going to take on their man, be positive. He also knew when he could recycle it back.
Yeah.
It was just everything I could ask for a debut. He's been with the club for less than a week and now is making his debut at 19 years old and playing that well. I thought he did kind of maybe some fitness, get tired at the end, and the second half wasn't as effective, but I thought that lively first half, that's exactly what we need. And for him to be doing that on his debut at 19, just thrilled. Yeah, thrilled to have him.
I'm on mute. But yeah, like we said earlier, we think he can maybe give us the chance to, put Johnson in a position to be more of an impact sub. And I think he offers probably a lot of what we look for in Kulusevski. But Kulusevski is just not quite, I guess quick would be the word, because I do think Kulu is quite technical, but he doesn't just have that rapid pace and that those magic feet that Odebear seems to have. So I think he's going to fit in on that right side super well as soon as Solanke's back. But yeah, and at 19 years old, I think people want to see him as someone we brought over from Burnley, which we certainly did, right? But this is a PSG academy product, and they do produce heaps of talent right now. I'm thinking of Zaire Emery, I believe is his name, right? But that massive talent is
Barcola.
Thank you, Barcola too. Great shout. But yeah, they're just pumping through talent. He comes from that academy. Burnley brought him in as an 18-year-old, or I believe maybe even a 17-year-old. But he played a ton of minutes as an 18-year-old in the Premier League, and that's what I'm most interested in. Those two things. So I'm really excited. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about before we jump into player ratings?
No, I'm ready to jump in. Yeah, I've just been so I made a super sick spreadsheet to keep track of all my player ratings. And I have a column that calculates the average rating. Obviously, 2 games in, players don't really have average ratings that mean anything yet, but I'm excited about this for the rest of this season. Hopefully, update you guys on the average rating for me on the players as we move forward. So yeah. And one more thing that's exciting is we got some of the folks from Cascades and Puyallup and some of the folks from the Seattle Spurs board group chat to give us the votes for their man of the match. So we can do our first official. We finally got a win in. First official Emerald and Lilywhite community man of the match. And I'll also be keeping track of those for the season, and we'll see. Maybe we'll give the guy a trophy. I mean, probably won't have one at the end of the season, so we can get him one for Emerald Lilywhite most man of the matches.
We'll ship it to the club, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's hilarious. That's awesome, man. Well, yeah. What do the people say? You want to go through those responses from the pubs quick now, or what?
Yeah. All right, let's do it. Let me pull up the responses. Here. Okay. All right. So, Michael from Puyallup, Spurs board member, his vote, Van de Ven. 1 vote, Van de Ven. And now we got a host of people from Cascades that all voted. So we got 3 from the Cascades vote for Heung-min Son, 1 vote for Christian Romero, and 2 votes for Mickey Van de Ven. So Van de Ven 3, Heung-min Son 3, Romero 1. Then we got Aaron from the Seattle Spurs board voting, and he has Romero. So we've got 3 for Van de Ven, 3 for Sonny, and 2 for Romero. And it comes down to me and Scott here to determine who wins. So it's a tie between Van de Ven's Son, and if we both vote for Romero, then I guess Christian brings it home.
Well, I will start, and I will tell you that my man of the match does our captain a favor, because it was hands down Sonny for me. As well as Van de Ven played, and as well as Romero played, Sonny scored 2 goals. And a brace is a brace, and it's hard for me to not give the man of the match to the man who scored the brace and ensured we got the dub.
Yeah, that's all fair. I got Van de Ven. Just thought he was absolutely brilliant. Obviously, insane assist for the Sun goal, and defensively, just a Rolls Royce back there. Yeah, I want to say Romero. He did have some shaky defensive moments, but I would, if he had patched that up a little bit, I would have given it to him, because he should have also had a couple assists if James is finishing his dinner there. So I'm going Mickey, which makes it 4 for Mickey, 4 for Sonny, and 2 for Romero. So Romero is out. I guess we have a tie now. We didn't really think this one through.
You know what we'll do? We'll throw a little Twitter poll out.
Okay.
For all the listeners.
That's a great idea.
24 hours to let us know if you think it's Sonny or Van de Ven. You can always drop a comment as to why you chose that player, right? But we'll give the people 24 hours to speak. Let us know if you think that Mickey Van de Ven or Heung-min Son should be the man of the match from Tottenham's 4-0 thumping of Everton. And I should say before we move on, Everton are just a very poor side. And no disrespect to them, no disrespect to their fans. I had the pleasure of speaking with a wonderful gentleman who runs a big Everton podcast. It's called American Toffee Pod for anyone who is interested in hearing or learning more about Everton. And they've done some big numbers. They've had Tim Howard on their show. So a really, really cool pod. Again, want to shout them out. It's American Toffee Pod for anyone who's interested in learning more about Everton. But yeah, they're just a real poor side, and I don't expect much from them. Their right backs are respectively 33 and 36 years old, and I'm 36 years old, right? So I'm not talking shit, but I'm not capable of playing right back in the Premier League, and very few 36-year-olds are, right? So yeah, just a poor side. Wish them all the best, but I think they maybe were a lesser opponent than Leicester City, dare I say.
I don't think so.
I mean, I think Leicester City is pretty poor, but hey, maybe Spurs just did see themselves through and stand a little bit taller today. Actually, someone that I know actually said that. Shout to my really good friend Caroline Stefko had mentioned that, she thought that we really did stand up tall in the tough moments in ways we didn't against Leicester, right? So that's probably some of it too. But anyways. Everton were poor. But let's jump into player ratings, and then we're going to get to Newcastle and a couple other things we want to talk about. But the player ratings are always a big part of what we're looking to do here at Emerald and Lilywhite. I think maybe we can go like sector of the field by sector of the field. So maybe we start with the attack, and each of us goes through our 3 ratings, right? And then we'll move on to the midfield just to keep it flowing a little bit here. But myself starting up top, I'm going to go with Odebear first. I had him at a 7.5, which for me is a strong rating. And like you said, FOTMob, it's a good thing that we don't just sit and watch FOTMob because they didn't agree with me. But I thought a 7.5 was fitting for the debutant. And I thought he just brought energy and ideas and pace and, again, flair that we haven't seen in quite a while at Spurs. And I'm excited for that. Sonny. You all know how I feel about Sonny. I'm going to give him a 9.5, which is aggressively high. But I just love Sonny. And he scored a brace today and gave a sick interview after the match. Again, if you haven't found it on the socials, go check it out because Sonny essentially just reminds the world that he doesn't get nervous or miss because he's Sonny. And I like to see that type of confidence from our captain. So 9.5. And then rounding out Brennan Johnson, I'm giving him a flat 5, which is maybe even complimentary. He just had a rough match today and just, again, offered nothing in the final third. So a 5 for Johnson.
Yeah. And yeah, I go by the baseline of 6. I don't really do the 0.5 thing. I know Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, but you start at the 6.5, at least what I gathered from last game. So he does the half steps. So I got Johnson Brennan at a 5 as well. So I guess I thought he played a little bit better than Scott did in our respective scales. He was terrible. Sonny Ivan a 9. Not a 10, just because I didn't feel like it was. I haven't given a 10 this season, so
it's gotta be
not a 10 yet. Yeah, so it's a 9. Odebear similar 7. Thought he was really bright, and then maybe trailed off end of first half, start of second. So I got him at a 7. Madison at a 7. Good link-up play. Really would have liked to see him grab a goal today, which would have definitely propelled him to the 8 or 9 range. For me, Kulu, I have an 8. Oh, I guess we're moving into the
Go ahead.
moving
Yeah,
into the
go through your
midfield.
midfield. Yeah.
Right, Madison 7. Okay, I started with that. Kulu, I got an 8. The only reason is because he was hooked early, which I guess he can't control. I had him at a 9, but he was kind of ghosting second half and then was hooked around the 65-minute mark. I do rate the full 90 matters to me. I think that it's really important for when players finish the full 90. So I value that in my rating. So I bumped Kulu down to an 8, obviously still fantastic. And then I got Biss as an 8 as well. Thought he was great goal. Dictated play really well. Had some shaky moments, but his first game of the season in the Prem, so can't ask for much more from our 6 there. Boss Uma with an 8 for me.
Love it. Asuma for me was an 8.5, and I would say the way that we tend to do ratings, we probably felt he had an equally impressive match. I thought that, I think Keegan said it last week, but when a number 6 is just quietly a number 6 and just doesn't stand out, then they've had a wonderful match. And then I add his goal, again, his first goal for the club, but that was an absolute finish, and put himself in a good position to be able to take that on. And he helped us, he released us from pressure really well today, which again, he's expected to do, but that goal bumps it up to an 8.5 for me. I thought he was fantastic. Kulu, I actually also give an 8.2. I think you said you give him an 8, if I'm not mistaken, but for me, Kulu did such a wonderful job of helping us get the ball out of tight spaces, but more simply put, he progresses the ball really well, both with his passing and his ability to link up and create 1-2s. And he's just really calm and collected on the ball. He doesn't panic, and he seems to operate with just a lot more of that confidence and poise on the ball through the middle, which is kind of surprising because there tends to be a little bit more pressure in that position, right, than on the wing. But I was just very impressed with him. I give him an 8. And Madison, I give 7.5. I thought he played really well. Not quite as impactful as Kulusevski for me, but did a really good job. And like I said, I think his confidence is high, so 7.5.
Perfect. Yeah, so for the defense, I got both fullbacks at a 7. Just typical solid game for both of them. Didn't really stand out, but that's what you want. Clean sheet, take it. Both the center backs had a 9. Like I said, it was kind of a toss-up between those two for my man of the match. Talked about them both extensively already, so got them both at a 9, and then I got Vic at a 7 as well. Made a good save, clean sheet. Can't ask for much more from the defense.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I'm not too far off from you. I have both fullbacks at a 7, which is maybe a little light, like as I look back and go through my actual decision making here, especially considering I like to start at a 6.5 and go in either direction. So I could have easily given these two a 7.5, but I give them a 7, just for having a good solid game and doing their job well. Romero, I have at an 8.5. The goal of being the primary reason for that 8.5. I think like a baseline for Romero is almost an 8, right? So he got himself a goal, and I bump it up to an 8.5. And Van de Ven, I have it at 8. And I think I have him at an 8. Yeah, and I know it's funny because a lot of people had him as a man of the match, but I put him in an 8 because I thought he was equally as impactful as Romero. Didn't get a goal, and I think that was my thought process at the time when I put together my rating. So Van de Ven could easily be higher, but I had him at an 8.
I just thought he was better defensively than Romero today.
He was, for sure. I'll never argue that. I think probably goal bias, right, is my differentiation there, if we want to call it that. But yeah, he had a great game, and I give him an 8. And then Vicario, I had it at a 7. Maybe actually a little light because he did come up when he was asked to the one time, but just a good solid performance from a goalkeeper in a match where he wasn't needed terribly. So
yeah, and then I'll save us some time. The subs that were used, all 5: Sarr, Gray, Bergvall, Spence, Richarlison, unused Timo, Radu, and Ben Davies. I just put all the subs at a 6. They didn't really move me. Nothing kind of happened with them after they came on. The goals were like corners, which Madison took, Romero scored, and then Van de Ven to Sonny, and those were all players that were already on. So they didn't impact the goals, and I didn't really particularly notice one. Like, for example, I noticed Archie Gray against Leicester. I was like, wow, this guy he's looking good. Like, I'm noticing. I'll give him a 7, but 6 is all around for those boys. Didn't put a foot wrong, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think in a match where you're up 4-0 or 2-0, 3-0, whenever people were coming on as we progressed to 4-0, it just, I don't know, maybe a little bit more flat than in another situation. So yeah, I think they all played well enough, but nothing important or flashy. And I got no issues with just wiping 6s across the board and moving on. So yeah, let's move on. Newcastle. We want to preview Newcastle. You mentioned earlier, aggregate in the last 2 trips to St. James Park is not good. One of those 2 matches was the Christian Stellini experience, right?
The refund game.
Yeah, exactly. Just I honestly, that, no joke, I had some family in town from St. Louis, and my brother was up from St. Louis, and he's a big QPR fan, like diehard QPR. He actually did some work for them. He's a videographer, so season tickets at one point, big QPR fan, and God bless him for that. It's a tough life, but he was over that day, and I was talking up Spurs, and he was just giving it to me thick, like anyone who's not a Spurs fan does. And I had a bunch of my family sit down and watch, like my mom
God.
and cousins, and yeah, anyways, it was just super embarrassing, and I think they all still wonder to this day why I spend so much time watching Spurs after they saw that one. But yeah, tough match. What do you tough 2 matches on aggregate? What do you expect? We'll say different this time, and I'm not talking scores and performances, but like what is Spurs taking into this match that's different than it was 2 years, the last 2 times we went up there?
Yeah, so hopefully Ange adjusts. Lost 4-0. Honestly, recently, it's been only in the last 5 months, we just got absolutely waxed 4-0. It was a 4:30 kickoff a.m. Pacific then. So that was really fun. This one's a 5:30. So please help us out here and put in a good shift. Here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for tighter in defense. I know that's not how we roll, but we got to be really wary of the counterattack for Newcastle. Anthony Gordon, Isak, they're fast. They're really quick players, and we saw what Isak did to Mickey Van de Ven. Jesus Christ. That was insane what he did last game, mixing him like that. We got to be wary of those players. They have players that break up play really well in the middle. Joe Linton, who also bagged a goal against us. And we've seen them get exploited at the lane if they overcommit. So I just think that we got to use how open they are to our advantage, but we also got to be more wary, especially the fullbacks, because we tend to get a little happy going up the field. And the fullbacks, like if we're too high and we're not tracking back, we're going to get absolutely rinsed. And that's what happened in April. And if we don't tighten up a little bit there and be a little bit more cautious when we're going to the 3rd best side playing at home in the Premiership, then we're going to get slapped again. So we just got to, tighten up at the back. And I know it's not how he rolls, but we got to be more wary, especially of their wing play and where our fullbacks are positioned when we're attacking.
Meg, it's great. I appreciate the tactical breakdown, and hopefully everybody enjoyed. I think that the one thing I'll mention there is Ange at times has been maybe discussed as a word as not always having a backup plan or a plan B or whatever, and I think that's unfair. And I'm not saying that's at all what you're saying. Not even close to saying that. But I think throughout last year we saw him really stay true to that just insane tactical approach, but his principles, right? We'll call them. And it cost us at times. And I think we would hop on podcasts, various podcasters, and I'm sure we talked about it in various group chats, but we would start to ask the question, like, is this sustainable? When is he going to figure out that you can't always do this? And I think he was well aware of that. I think that first year it's so important to just like absolutely imprint the style of play onto these players and make sure that they're consistently getting those reps and that you're really firming up the foundation of what you're trying to do. Because at the end of last season, we saw him make adjustments. The City game, to the second to last match, for example, right? He completely flipped the tactics on their head and caught everybody off guard and put in a really good shift as a manager in that match. And
the wrong match to do it.
Yeah. So it's I think there's every reason to think when I'm saying that Ange can go in with some sort of tactical adjustment to make sure that we do put in a shift and have a chance to get a result up at St. James's Park. But Newcastle's a really well-drilled team who doesn't have Europe. And granted, it's too early for do they have Europe, do not they have Europe to matter, right? But they're a good team regardless. That's going to be super well-drilled. And
although it does matter, actually, because they play at the midweek. Because they're not in Europe. They play Carabao Cup midweek against Nottingham Forest away, Premier League side away. So, yeah.
Okay. And I mean, I can only imagine they're going to prioritize this Premier League match, but that does factor in. So good shout. But yeah, Newcastle, from a lineup perspective, what changes do you expect? And I think there could be some tactical changes here, maybe not, but what do you expect to see differently?
Yeah, so just to preface, like, what are we saying for Bent and Solanke?
Great. I mean, I think there is a concussion protocol, and I'm not quite sure what it is, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bentancur is not available next week. It looks like he really got his bell rung. Yeah, but I think there's reason to think Solanke could be back, and that's just based on Ange's comments.
That's what I thought. Solanke in Ben's probably needs another couple weeks. All right, yeah. So back four probably should be the same, although if he wanted to get spicy with it, although I don't think he's scared of anyone, we could see Radu appear. Maybe for Poro, if we just want to do the one inverted thing, because when we have two inverted, that's where we get absolutely cut up. That won't happen, but if I was playing Football Manager, might happen. And then in midfield, what I want is I can't shake that Sarr performance from Leicester, although this is the type of game that you really want him in.
Yeah.
I just wish Bentancur was available for this game because I think he would thrive in that 8 role, and this is like a perfect game for him to play because he can still defend there. So as much as I want to say Basuma and Archie Gray with Madison in front of them, I'm probably going to go with Biss, Sarr, and you know what? I'm going to go Kulu. I'm going to stick with what I've been saying. Kulu's been better, in my opinion. So what I would do, same back four, Biss, Sarr, Kulu, and then up top, I'm going, like we talked about, Odebear, give him the right, Sonny on the left, and then Big Dom up top. And then I want Madison in this scenario or Kulu, whichever one is, I want them off the bench, 60th minute. I would love to see Bergvall off the bench if we're trailing, and then obviously get Brendan off the bench like you talked about. So those would be the subs to watch for there. I don't know if Archie Gray has a part to play in this game, but it would be interesting if we did because I would like to see him against a little stiffer competition. But yeah, what do you got?
Yeah, the only change that I'm thinking could be made is Sarr for either Kulusevski or Madison, and I know that you and up top too. I think that Solanke does come in for Johnson, and
Yeah.
I agree. I think Odebear on the right, Sonny on the left, but I think Sarr does get the start. I don't see Andrews taking any other approach other than continuing to give Sarr a chance to play through,
He
whatever
loves
funk
him.
he's in. Yeah, he does, and we talked about it a lot last week. His box to box capabilities and his ability to break up play. I think he'll be well suited against the Joelinton, who, as you already mentioned, is very talented and I consider one of the better midfielders in the Premier League. So I think Sarr will start. Do I think it's for Kulusevski or Madison? As much as I want to say Kulusevski starts, I think my gut says Ange starts Madison. And that may concern me if I see a Basuma Sarr Madison midfield come out. I think, and I think I only say that it's really harsh on Madison because he's been fantastic, but that Madison Sarr combo didn't look great at Leicester. But I think most importantly, if you're gonna have Sarr play, less of an attacking role, we could say. That doesn't sound quite right to say it like that, but he's going to offer a different profile, obviously, and I think Kulusevski would be able to just offer a little bit more of a difference factor to pair with Sarr, but I think it'd probably be Madison if I'm guessing what Ange does. So we'll see. But I again, super long winded, but I think it's Sarr that gets the nod. So.
Yeah, that checks out. If we don't get Solanke, would you do Sonny up top, or would you hope that Richie is ready to go?
Yeah, that's a tough call, man. I mean, Sonny scored 2 goals today, so I don't see any reason why you wouldn't consider putting him there. But it's the Johnson of it all.
Yeah,
I think that the Ange will have to ask himself: is it worth getting Odebear on the right to bring Richarlison in and play Sonny off the left? There's also, as you mentioned, Mikey Moore, also a Timo Werner. I don't expect him to start by any means very often this season, but he's there. So I guess, my only point is there are other people that can keep Sonny central if we want to not play Johnson, but I don't see why that would make any sense. So if Solanke's not fit and Richarlison is, I'd probably go Richarlison, Odebear, and Son. And that's just because Johnson's been so poor.
Yeah. If I was getting really crazy with it, I would do the Radu at right back maybe, but non-inverted, and then put Kulu at right wing. But that's if Solanke's not playing. And also that's never going to happen. But like, if we wanted to get really interesting with it, like Kulu inverts there and Radu is more out wide. We get like more of the 3 center back feel plus the 6 when we're in attack because Udogi's obviously getting more forward. Yeah. And then it also gives Basuma a bit more freedom there. But, I'm not a manager. So
hey, man,
we'll see what happens.
And just got to be a big Emerald and Lilywhite guy, so he might consider it.
Hey, he listened. He listened. We were like, Odebear has to be in. Kulu and Madison have to be in the midfield. Let's do it. And he was like, okay, bet.
We got to check those views that we're getting, right? I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Make sure that one of those is an Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah,
but no,
17.
Yeah, right. No, I think it's all really well said, man. I think your breakdown, especially what we can expect from Newcastle, is spot on. It's going to be a tough one. No ifs, ands, or buts. We're going to have to go really put in a shift if we want to get a result here, and I think we have to get a result. I think it's going to just, not that Ange and the team get into this by any means, but from a fan perspective, it's going to just get really toxic and troubling, right? If we take 4 points from our first available 9, so we need to go up there and get a result. What do you predict? Talk to me, man. What's the scoreline walking out of there?
Yeah, I think we lose 2-1.
Yeah.
I'll go. Yes. Actually, I'll go Mickey Van de Ven gets the goal. Set piece.
Okay, I like it. I'm gonna go 2-2, and I say that just with a little bit of hope, but I'll take the point at St. James Park all day. I think Sonny gets a goal, and I think his goal scoring form is going to continue. Long may it rain. And then I think James Madison's going to get a goal, and I don't know why, but I think he's due. I think his
because he
confidence
rejected
is ready.
Newcastle for us.
For sure. Good man. Shit club. Yeah, but I'll go 2-2. We'll see what happens, right? It could be wishful thinking, but we'll be ready. Angel will have the team up for it for sure. Let's talk transfers quick. Couple things to discuss here, and I appreciate you putting the agenda together today, Max. Ashley Phillips goes to Stoke City on loan. I think that's a great move for him. Not only is it a championship club, but Stoke has some history, and they're just a cool. They're a cool club. I think they're historically more of a Premier League team who has had recent tough times, in my opinion. But I always think of them as a Premier League team who's just on a little journey in the championship and may find their way back up someday. But I think it's a really good move for him. What do you make of that one?
Yeah, super happy with that. Think he'll get regular footy there and should be back better that next year. Hopefully they have a good season there.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a great move for him. I think he needs to just continue to improve his game and get ready for a future role in Ange. But we all know Ange brought him in pretty quickly. I think it was Ange. Yeah, Ange brought him in.
It was
shortly after he took over Spurs, right? And so probably somebody in the club had identified, but Ange obviously said yes. And I think he really does have a future at Spurs, but he's got to continue to improve, and that's how he'll do it, by loans to Stoke City. So happy for him. Next, Sunsa Bell goes to Cordoba. I'm sad to see him go because I was pretty excited when we brought him in, especially from Chelsea. That was a big deal to me, right? That we had brought in somebody from our rivals academy who was expected to be quite a player. It didn't work out in the way that I thought it was. I think there was a time where I thought he was in the realm of where Will Lancashire ended up being, right? But
Agreed.
Sunsa Bell is sold, and what do you make of that?
Yeah, we got a 40% sell-on clause, so hopefully he turns into a player. He just didn't break through. At this point, he's like 21, so it's a bit too late. Chelsea fans acted like he was like George Best when we bought him from them, so that kind of got our hopes up. And he did have a lot of good performances. When Lancashire did have that ACL tear season 2 years ago, I was like, damn, like Sunsa Bell, like even going to last season, I had him ranked ahead of Will Lancashire. So that's props to Lancashire for how he's skyrocketed. And he picked up an injury in the academy. I don't know if we mentioned that on the last episode. So he's out for a couple weeks. So if Solanke is out long term, he's not in the picture. But yeah, wish the best for Jude. Hopefully he can get us a fee soon with that sell-on clause. Speaking of sell-on clauses, Jack Clark going to the Prem, Ipswich Town, for $20 million, and Tottenham have 20% of that. So we're getting a cheeky $5 million for my boy Jack Clark. Did him dirty. He's paying us back for some reason. So yeah.
Dude, I'm happy for Jack Clark. He's back in the Premier League. I had high hopes for him. I really did. I was a
big Jack Clark guy.
Yeah. And Ipswich Town, I think it's a good move for him. He's going to have a chance to be a real impact player. I think he walks into their starting 11. Maybe a little aggressive to say, but I think he does. They're a good team, but 2 years ago they were in League One. And I think Jack Clark immediately comes in and makes an impact for Ipswich Town. And again, that's a Premier League team, so I'm really happy for him. And then last but not least, Manor Solomon looks to be headed to Leeds. I'm stoked. Just get him out.
Yeah, get him out, dude.
No disrespect.
It's a loan, though.
Solomon.
Like, what are we doing, lads?
Yeah, I think similar to what we've talked about, and I know you brought this up for guys that have parted ways on loans this season, like a Brian Healer, for example. I think the hope is that he puts in enough of a shift to attract some interest. Again, we brought him in for nothing, right? So if we can get 10 million for him, that would be fantastic, right? So maybe he goes in and has a good season at Leeds. It's a lot to ask for, but anything's profit. So I'm hoping that this is designed to put him in the shop window and see what he can do at Leeds, because I just don't see a world where we're sending someone to Leeds United who's more in the prime of their career and having nothing to do with the first team, right? Where we think they can go to Leeds and get better in the championship and come back and make an impact on the first team. So it's not like, an Ashley Phillips loan by any means. And I just hope it's designed to get him out. Again, no disrespect to Solomon, but he just doesn't have a place in this team. He's not talented enough. So yeah, all the best to Leeds, Manor Solomon. Thanks for the memes.
Thanks for Archie Gray. Here's Joe Rod on in Manor Solomon. Peace. Hey, and shout out Alex Chang. Bless his heart, man. Somehow he's a Manor Solomon fan. Weird guy, but yeah.
And a Brian Heal fan.
Yeah.
The only fan of those two guys in the Spurs world. Man, Chang's not here to defend himself. Yeah, we'll stop. But yeah, all the best, Manor Solomon. Let's talk loans, man. I'm going to pass it over to you because I know this is where you love to live, man. So go through the loan watch quick.
Yeah, so we're cooking at Oxford United. Dane Scarlett, 0 minutes played in their loss. So he's not starting for a relegation championship side. Do with that information what you will. Alejo Valise started 2 games for Espanyol, 0 goal contributions. Who is surprised? Not me. Yellow cards galore and had a bloody nose. Those were the highlights. Jamie Donnelly, my boy, had a little bit of a rough go for Leighton today. Not a great – obviously, I didn't watch the game, so here I go with the FOTMob rating. The FOTMob rating wasn't good for Jamie Donnelly today, but he clocked the full 90, so that's good enough for me. Keep getting in those 90s, Jamie. And then Yang Min Hyuk continues to ball out in Korea. Can't forget him in this segment because he's technically on loan, and he is cooking out there. Notched another assist, starts every game. Like, I'd say probably the second most goals and assists in the league, and he's only 18. So he is balling out there for some positive loan news. And then hopefully we're getting more positive loan news when Phillips is properly getting out. I don't know if we're covering Manor Solomon. If Chang wants to, he can, because I know he's doing the Brian Hill part. So if he really wants to double down on that, he can. But we got Ashley, and then we got Jamie and Yang. Those are the big 3 that we got to watch out for. I guess Valise and Scarlett are like semi-interesting. But, yeah, and then we should be getting Alfie Devine. He's getting interest from some championship clubs as well, so hopefully he gets loaned out soon. Any thoughts on those guys out on loan right now?
Yeah, I'm very interested in Yang because the K-League ends circa Christmas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And I think he comes to Spurs immediately after the end of the K-League season.
There's a good
talks
chance
about another loan, but we need that profile, and we need it now. And I think he ends up coming and training with the first team by January. So I'm really, really excited about him. I think obviously Scarlett, Valise, Donnelly are there for the season, and Phillips is there for the season, and I don't expect any of them to come back. Maybe Donnelly in like some crazy injury crisis, right? But I don't think so. So I think Yang's the one that we can expect to be or maybe to have the quickest path to first team minutes out of anyone out on loan right now. And I think it happens sooner rather than later because, like you said,
Get Yang in, terminate
yeah,
Timo Werner's loan, and we're cooking.
no reason that couldn't happen. So, yeah, I'm stoked for what he's going to bring to the table. I think it's kind of obviously very different profiles and very different career trajectories so far, but kind of like an Oda Bear, it's somebody that no one really knew a whole lot about, right? But it's exactly that profile that Johan Lange and his data-driven approach points out or draws interest from in regards to Spurs, and we move. So yeah, super stoked for Yang. That was the Loan Watch brought to you by the Wits End up in Finney Ridge. As always, we cannot shout them out enough. Love those guys. We love Chad. They have been with us, for a long time, and we love them and appreciate everything they do. But again, that was your Loan Watch brought to you by the Wits End. And now let's round out the pod with the Academy Watch brought to you by Cascades and Puyallup down on the south side, our newest location and newest addition to Seattle Spurs. Again, Cascades. They bring us the Academy Watch. And Max, I'm passing it back to you, man. I know the academies and loans are where you live, so talk to me.
Yeah, so the 21s, which I know most people are super interested in, don't play till tomorrow. So I'll get back to you after the Newcastle game with their update from this week and next week. But the 18s played today. They win, bagging, I think, 6-2 against the Fulham 18s. Luca Williams-Barnett, who I talked about last week. Dude, this guy is filthy. A goal and 2 assists. His goal contributions are up to 6 in 2 games for the 18s. Ellis Lehane is leading that team in goals with 3 goals this season. He bagged a brace today. And then highly touted academy prospect George Feeney, who was playing senior football in Northern Ireland. We bring him in. He's super. He was a striker. Now they're playing him as a center mid, trying to develop him there. He gets his first goal for Tottenham. So that's exciting for Feeney, which was someone that we had brought in this window that you guys may not have known about. So Lehane, Feeney, remember those names, and Luca Williams-Barnett. He's seeming like a regular in this segment already. So remember that name, and I will keep banging the drum for him. So that was the Academy Watch brought to you by Cascades and Puyallup. Shout out to them. Hometown Olympia for me, so I've been there. And then when I'm up in Seattle, obviously, for school, I'm at the Wits. So shout out to both those places.
Yeah, we love them both. Yeah, well, been a good show. Appreciate everybody who's hung in for over an hour with us, but big win for Spurs today, 4-0. It's early days again, right? We just take it 1 week at a time as Spurs fans right now, but a thumping 4-0 victory over Everton. As we talked about, Newcastle to come and more tough opponents on the horizon, right? We'll cover each and every match in the form of a preview and a review. So stick with us here at Emerald Lilywhite. Make sure that you subscribe and we certainly appreciate it. If you're in Seattle, if you're a Spurs fan, we say it every episode, get to one of those 2 spots. Again, Wits End up in the Finney Ridge area, Cascades down in Puyallup. If you're on the north side, you're at the Wits Ends. If you're on the south side, you're coming to Cascades, and you're joining us at Seattle Spurs. We'd love to get to know you. The more the merrier. As a Spurs community grows, we want to know who's out there supporting the mighty Lilywhite. So make sure you get down to one of those 2 spots. And if you'd like to be on the show, let us know, right? We're welcoming guests always, especially those folks in Seattle, right? We want to give you a chance to come on and talk Spurs. We know you all are as passionate as we are about it, and we're just 2 guys that make a podcast because we love Spurs. So you can do it too, and you're always welcome. Shoot us a note in Twitter if you'd like to join. But for Max, for myself, for Chang, for Keegan, for Steve, for everyone at Seattle Spurs, the whole Seattle Spurs community, we've been Emerald and Lilywhite, and as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.